Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Dorky, right? Dork Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, right? We are hunting meme coins consistently. We are looking for what is the next big thing. And honestly, this may be it. We know, ladies and gentlemen, that Ethereum meta is back, right? Ethereum meta is back. And we can look at something like Turbo, right? Look at Turbo's volume today. Look how much it pumped today. Look at its volume, 870% up in the last 24 hours, 590 million volume. Let's look at something like pepe, right? Which this kind of resembles pretty much like Turbo and pepe. I would lean more towards pepe, but the fact that it's on Ethereum and Ethereum meme coins are making a rise again is really, really exciting in my personal opinion, right? We can see Pepe, 5.13 billion market cap, 1.77 billion in volume in the last 24 hours, right? We know Ethereum has been ripping, right? This thing is around $3,000, if not even higher right now. So we know that Ethereum is going to continue to do well, right? We can look for even just a second here, right? $3,010. Look, 36 billion in volume. And the crazy thing is, ladies and gentlemen, this is not even like the high of Ethereum, right? This is not even the high. We know Ethereum has a lot more to go, and we know it's still going to expand, which is why I'm super, super excited to be talking about Dorky, because I do believe, Ethereum meme coin meta is going to be back. And I do believe something like Dorky does have the potential, especially that it gives kind of like Pepe vibes, right? It really, really does. And if people do like something that's edgy, people do like something that is very like memey. And we can even see, right, when we go look at them, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, the Dark Lord is here to take over the Ethereum chain. Pepe has been, has long been causing trouble over there. And yeah, Pepe is kind of the king of Ethereum right now. Turbo is like the prince, and we need something to overtake it, or even just be, a fraction of it, to be honest, right? Especially when something as low as this, that 1.8 million market cap, it has 69,420 million total supply. And that's how much is fully circulating, right? No buy tax, no sell tax, no hidden fees, contract renounce, liquidity burned forever, right? Very, very simple to buy it, to be honest. You can just either, go on Uniswap and get some yourself, or, ladies and gentlemen, actually something very big happened recently. You can go on something like Mexi. There's a recent exchange listing on Mexi. Actually, it is also rumored that there is another big exchange listing somewhere on the size of Mexi, if not even bigger. So I am looking forward to that. The amount of accumulation, the amount of everything would make me really think that there will be a burst sooner than later to the upside. We can even see that when it got listed on Mexi, it actually saw a huge rise going from, let's say, roughly 1.8 million market cap to 6 million. So that was a 3x move in roughly just, a couple of days. Really, really nice. That is what we love to see. And the crazy thing is, it's still only the beginning. We can actually see that this coin has been holding its own for some time, right? It has been holding its own for some time. We can see there's actually a huge, massive support right over here, ladies and gentlemen. If we take it, boom, right? This general area of, let's just say, 1.5 million market cap is a very, very big and unique support that has been holding for a very long time. And since the markets are bullish, since the Ethereum meta is back for meme coins, I actually do expect a rally for this coin very, very soon, especially that when we look at it, we can see the last few weeks, although, just barely bearish, we can see they have been losing momentum in terms of the candlesticks, right? So I actually expect some green candlesticks very, very soon, right? The last 5 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, yes, we had this, like, it did go up and then it sold off, but the last few weeks, 4 to 5 weeks, have been looking extremely weak in terms of selling pressure. And what does that indicate always? Well, if selling pressure is extremely weak, that usually indicates a massive rally loading. Okay. So if we look at this from the daily perspective, right? We can just see it's been slowly selling off up and down, but generally it's been looking to go sideways. So I actually do expect another rally, and I do expect another attempt at this zone right over here, right? We can see that this is a massive zone as well, right? We kind of just keep bouncing between. And we know like once something comes out of accumulation, it does not stop pumping. Okay. So once we kind of break from this 3 million market cap zone, which I do believe will be sooner than later, I actually do believe we're going to make a run to the all-time highs. That is my personal prediction, right? Boom, 11 million market cap. So even just from right now, if you got in hypothetically, right, boom, you'd be more or less looking at 6.1 times your gains, right? Over 500% in pure profit, which is why I'm super, super hype about this coin, as well as I do think there's a high chance, of course, of an expansion, right? We know there are some key zones that 1.6 is usually underwhelming. 2.6 is a likely target. And of course, once we get to the 3.6 and the 4.2 area, it is a little bit on the higher end. But even if we were just looking at a high probability area, that would be around 28 to 30 million market cap, which would be an insane multiplier from here, right? We would be looking at something really, really big, like what, 15x from the top of my head? Yeah, exactly. 15x from the top of my head. So I was right? So that is why I'm super, super optimistic about this coin, right? We can even go and see their Twitter. They're almost at 5,000 followers. Well, right? When we actually go look, we can see that it actually got 38,000 views. 38,000 views for a post like this, which is a lot, right? It is a lot. And on a consistent basis, they seem to get high couple hundred views, even reaching upwards of 8,000, which is an extremely great ratio, which is what we talk about on this channel, right? Even if a meme coin or something smaller, if they have a great ratio, that means the very active community, right? If they have, let's just say, even if we rounded it up, that they have 5,000 followers and they're pretty much getting 1,000 views per post, that means 20% of the views and the community is consistently active, which is an insane ratio. Okay, because there's even bigger projects. There's even exchanges, just Twitter pages that don't have a 1 to 5 ratio. Okay, it's usually more like 1 to 10, 1 to 20, if we're being very, very honest. So a 1 to 5 ratio is very, very nice. And we actually see some of the artwork, right? We go look over here, Dorky, boom, right? Look at this. It's a Mr. Blue guy with his cash, with his drink. He's ready to pump up the market. So very funny, very unique. It is a little scary, I will say, which is exactly why the Dark Lord vibes, right, are there. We can see, boom, the Joker with some baddies in the background. So yeah, but seriously, on a serious note, I am super optimistic about this project. I do think it is going to do well, even if it just does, 1/10, 1/20th of what Turbo or Pepe have done. It will achieve massive gains. But that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.